Chelsea, when we think everybody's in, just go ahead and let us know. And to people who are just joining, thank you so much for being here. I'm the Executive Director, Josh Kasinski, President Tony Erdis, and we'll get started in just a moment. We're just letting everybody in from the waiting room.
All right, I think we are ready to go.
Fantastic.
Well, thank you, Josh, and thank you, everyone. Good evening to all of you, beloved members of Congregation Beth Israel. Welcome to our 164th annual meeting. I would like to introduce our Senior Rabbi Michael Kahana for the opening prayer.
Thank you, Tony. Shalom. We gather together on this, our congregation's 164th annual meeting at a difficult time. War in Ukraine, the imminent threat to reproductive freedom and healthcare, anti-Semitic graffiti splayed on our own sanctuary, mass murder at a grocery store in Buffalo inspired by anti-Semitic and racist ideology, and only yesterday our nation's second most deadly school shooting at an elementary school in Newville, Texas. Our hearts are broken. And yet, as a community, our congregation rises up to action. We sent aid to refugees from Ukraine. We hosted a program for our local Ukrainian community. We marched to demand our freedoms. We work with law enforcement to keep our community safe. We move our anger to action by working to pass meaningful gun violence prevention laws in our state. Ours is a synagogue committed to tikkun olam, to our Jewish responsibility of fixing the brokenness in our community, our nation, and the world. 164 years ago, our synagogue fathers did not meet over Zoom. We, you, all of us together, have held together as a community during the fierce epidemic which uprooted our world. Through it all, we prayed online, we learned online, and we have returned this year to in-person learning and worship. We are emerging stronger and more engaged. As we celebrate this 164th community gathering, let us not forget the lessons that we've learned during difficult times. We all need community. We need each other. We are here for each other. Every tear, every laugh, every precious moment, Congregation Beth Israel is here for us. Let us be there for her. Let us be there for each other. Let us move together as community into a new and brighter era. Amen.
Azkara, remembrance. Judaism is a religion built on the foundation of memory. Zachor, remembers, repeated nearly 200 times in the Hebrew Bible. It's a Jewish tradition when someone dies to say, Zichronam livracha, may their memory be for blessing, or blessed memory. I prefer may their memory be a blessing, meaning when you think of a person who's died, may the memory bless you, because the performance of memory through deeds, action, speech, assists in the process of not forgetting. So we're now going to take a moment of Azkara, of memory, to remember, to honor, to celebrate the lives of 3 leaders in our community who died this past year.
A poem by Rabbi Harold M. Schulweis. When dying is over. When dying is over, a different kind of memory takes over. Not the memory that is obituary, not the memory that records the past indiscriminately, but an active memory that sifts through the ashes of the past to retrieve isolated moments and that gives heart to the future. That memory is an act of resurrection. It raises up from oblivious the glories of forgotten years, even the memories of failure. The recollections of frustration and regret are precious.
Broken memories are like the tablets that Moses shattered, placed lovingly in the holy ark of remembrance. Memories are saved those immaterial disembodied ghosts that endure. What is life after death? Pointers, ensigns, marking places that raise us up to life and give us a changed heart. Perhaps a life lived differently, better, wiser, stronger than before. What is left after death? The life of the survivor. We remember these former board members and loved ones who left us too soon, whose leadership guided, challenged, and inspired us. Eric Flam, a former president of CBI Brotherhood, a political organizer, a loving husband of Robin, and father of Olivia and Jonah.
Dan Hurwitz, CBI board member and incoming treasurer, dedicated Torah study attendee who met his Besherta Deborah sitting around the study table. Dan was the glue inspiring family and friends to stay close, an adoring father, stepfather, and grandfather.
Mark Peterman, board secretary, patient and persistent, often contrary, always respectful, and with CBI's needs uppermost in his heart and mind. Dedicated father, grandfather, beloved of Judy. We miss each one and offer praise and gratitude to the creator of precious souls. Say together, Yitgadal, V'yitgadash Shmei Rabbah, Yalmad Divrach Chilutei, Yamlich Malchutei. V'chayechon uvyomechon, V'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevorach leolam l'umei al maya. Yiparach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal, Shemei d'kedusha v'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran b'alma v'imru, Amen. Yehei shlam rabba min shmaya, v'chayim aleinu Well, Kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen. Yaseh shalom b'mromav, u'yaseh shalom. Aleinu v'al Kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen. Yichonam levacha, may their memories be a blessing for us all. And we say, Amen.
Amen. All right, the next item on our agenda, Tony.
Last year was our 163rd year. We had a meeting with that was very successful and with a lot of items on the agenda. We have minutes from that meeting that we need to approve. They were included with the invite on your Zoom invitation. If you have any comments or questions, please submit them in the chat room. And otherwise, we would like to accept them as submitted. I would like somebody to please make a motion.
In the chat, you can make a motion in the chat. And then once we have one of those,
We need somebody to second, please.
We have a motion and a second.
thank you, Chelsea.
Thank you.
You will now see a poll that should pop up in your screen for you to vote on approving the minutes as submitted. If you are on an iPad, you might have a little difficulty with this. I apologize, but please feel free to do that, and it will be up for just briefly. Tony, I voted for us to approve it on behalf of both of us. I hope that was okay.
Thank you. That was great.
Chelsea will let us know when that is all happened.
Motion passes.
Wonderful.
Thank you. As you probably have noticed, we are here on the campus of Congregation Beth Israel, missing all of you, but you voted by selecting the Zoom option today. So We respect that. So, but I'm here with Josh Kasinski, our executive director, and I would like Josh to present now the year in review for all of us. Josh.
Great. Thanks, Tony. So we're going to go through a little bit of a slide deck. Again, all of this will be available to you afterwards and during this. And there was a link in the chat, and Chelsea might be able to re-put that link in the chat if that's helpful. But I'm just going to start in with some highlights from our year programmatically and some of the things going on at CBI. We added 39 new membership units, so new families to the congregation. You can see here on this screen our financial summary from this year. And again, as for folks who want to have more conversation in depth, I'm always available to talk about this in more detail. As you can see here, some of the highlights regarding this year. So the operational budget last year had a surplus, and we had an increase in net assets. Most of that was from our investment income. For this fiscal year, our membership revenue is projected to be an increase over last year and down just a little bit from our sort of pre-COVID time. So we're seeing a nice strong bounce back on membership revenue, and that's a thank you to you all as congregants. Our religious school enrollment is down a little bit from where it was pre-pandemic. We've seen that rebound this year significantly from where it was the previous year, and we anticipate that getting better next year and returning pretty close to pre-pandemic levels. And the second round of PPP loan that we received was fully forgiven. A big thank you to everybody who participated in Taste of Temple. As you can see, we netted $130,000, and especially a big thank you to the 55 sponsors for the $95,000 in sponsorship. Social action has continued to be incredible this year. As you can see, over $61,000 raised, and they've distributed almost all of that so far, and that does not include the money raised separately for Rabbi Kahana's trip in support of the crisis in Ukraine. We received an incredible grant for camp scholarships, and we also received a nonprofit security grant from the federal government for $150,000, which we're currently in the process of implementing. That's going primarily to cameras on campus, as well as improvement to access control, which has to do with locks and securing our entrances and exits around the campus. And you can see we were able this year to get back in person a little bit. Some great pictures of some of the things that we are doing. We celebrated 48 B'nai Mitzvah. We're back on for Shabbat on the Plaza was here, and you can see dates for this upcoming summer. So you can mark your calendar: July 15th, August 19th, and September 2nd. We were outside for the high holidays, which was really a wonderful experience for many folks. You can see some pictures here. You can see the 270 students we have enrolled in our pre-K through 12th grade religious school. With a special thank you to Jason Waxman and Roscoe and Deborah Nelson for all of their support of all of our youth travel. We were able to send a group to on a social action focused trip to LA. And next year, we're already planning a social action trip to Arizona, a Southern civil rights trip, and our trip to lobbying in Washington, D.C. with the rest of the reform movement through Lit Ken. And again, these are for different ages of our high school aged students. So it's really a great opportunity. And you can see folks having a great time. We had several kind of arts and culture events, including some concerts in our space and a joint community program we had at the JCC of a old classic cinema. As I mentioned earlier, we had a wonderful bequest from Anissa and Bernie Klein, and this is for, it was almost over $250,000 to help support kids going to URJ camps, Reform Movement camps. This year, we're giving $1,000 scholarships for any CBI student going to a URJ camp. Administratively, we've done 2 new administrative upgrades, including Shul Cloud, which many of you have accounts and how you can communicate, pay bills, and manage things internally for us, as well as improving our cemetery tracking with another cemetery software called Semify. I mentioned the federal grant we received. During Hanukkah, we were able to gather, have wonderful celebration of lights on our campus, as well as doing some different things for different age populations. We've had an incredible amount of action in our social action committee, chaired by Sally Rosenfeld, and primarily supporting refugees, gun violence prevention, combating food insecurity. You can see some of the work we did specifically related to Ukraine and other refugees. We did a lot of work fighting food insecurity, including raising over $25,000 through the Robert Peltz High Holiday Funds for Food, and working with a lot of our local partners. And that feels very resonant now, working with Lift Every Voice Oregon on some campaign ballot initiatives regarding gun violence and gun safety. Additionally, some of our youth were involved in some climate activism, including doing some Portland lobbying of our own representative, Bonamici, as part of some of our Hanukkah stuff. And in the same spirit, just last weekend, we were able to do Mitzvah Day with 14 projects happening on campus and around town. And additionally, we launched Mitzvah Day 365, where we're having groups focused on climate action, refugee, immigrant, asylum seeker support, food insecurity, and participation in Portland communities active in disaster, all which are going to be meeting and being active throughout the year. Our Martin Luther King Jr. Shabbat had Reverend Dr. Gerald Durley. We had lots of ongoing Torah study, and because of the ability of technology, as we're experiencing now, able to bring in some other scholars to help lead that, including a regular teacher from Israel. And speaking of other adult education, our adult education committee, now chaired by Susan Milstein, brought in a 4-part series on reparations, which included speakers and artists and experts from the Black, Native American, and Japanese American communities. Our Purim spiel was a lot of fun of My Fair Esther. Taste of Temple was a wonderful experience for those who were able to gather in person. A real, again, big thank you for all of our sponsors, everybody who participated in the Mitzvah Moment, and Bob and Rita Phillip for their significant Mitzvah Moment challenge. And additionally, we celebrated conversions for 10 babies born to gay Israeli dads via gestational surrogacy, something which until very recently was not allowed for them to do at home in Israel. And as many of you are aware, when Rabbi Kahana took a trip to Krakow in support of the crisis in Ukraine, in under a month raised nearly $65,000 and a huge amount of supplies that we were able to send in support of that effort. It's really an incredible show of solidarity and support from the congregation. So thank you all for being a huge part of making this year fantastic. As I said, this all will be sent out. So if you missed some detail, we'll be able to have it, and you can also look at it and download it and look through it. If there is a question that you have or something that you brought up, please put it in the chat. Chelsea will be collecting those. If we don't have a chance to answer it during this, we will get back to you with an answer related to that. And maybe sort of right before we close, we'll see if there are any questions for that. And then one other very special thank you we want to do right now. 2 members of our community, Judith Kasinski and Tammy Kramer, have been incredible by being volunteers as ushers and greeters for the vast majority of events that we've been doing, and especially on Friday nights during Shabbat. And they create such a warm and welcoming and incredible atmosphere for people, whether they've come every week, whether you come every once in a while, or whether it's your first time here. So a really big thank you from all of us to Judith and Tammy for all of your support and working on behalf of making us a real community of belonging.
Thank you, Josh. Is there such thing as retiring for volunteers? How can you retire if you're a volunteer? But we do have term limits, and I am proud and honored now to speak about 2 board members that are retired. One is Bonnie Davis. Bonnie, I hope you are on the call. Bonnie was the chair of the educational committee, and she successfully guided our religious school reaccreditation with the Association of Reformed Jewish Educators. She led our education committee in partnership with CBI staff to implementing the letter writing days and activities for Torah Connects, the CBI project to repair our Torah scrolls with software on the site, where families had the opportunity to help write letters in the scrolls, including the very special Holocaust scroll. Over the COVID-19 pandemic, Bonnie and the educational committee worked with the education director, Ben Sadler, who's very, very appreciative of you, Bonnie, and staff as we transitioned to a year of virtual learning, and then back to the in-person classes. Bonnie's insight as a leader, parent, and medical professional brought reassurance and advice on how to proceed safely and wisely back to in-person learning. Our education director, Ben Sandler, and all of us are very grateful to you, Bonnie, for your dedication and leadership. Bonnie and Barry are good and fun friends, and we want to thank you. The other board member who is retiring is David Goldwyn. With his unique style of telling it as he sees it, David has been an enormously valuable member and leader. David, I hope you are on the call. He contributed to the success of our community in more than one way. And I had the privilege to serve alongside David many times, and it was a joy. A few highlights come to mind. David and Tiffany Goldwyn chaired the Taste of Temple twice. They inspired us, so Bianca and I followed them and chaired the Taste of Temple twice, plus the fall fundraiser in 2016. I remember that because that was only days before our daughter Shira was born on Rosh Hashanah 2016. David and Tiffany also chaired the fall fundraiser. During all that time, David was also the chair of the development committee and did a fantastic job. David served in our executive committee and served as CBI representative to the Oregon Jewish Community Foundation board. He also chaired the Life and Legacy Outreach. David, you have been an important reason for our success. You and Tiffany are wonderful friends. Thank you. Those are the two board members that I wanted to honor today.
There's one other key person who is completing his board service and retiring, and that is you. As president and completing, actually, I think this was your 7th year on the board. You actually stayed a little longer to serve your presidency.
I broke the rules.
And those are the rules, actually. You're allowed to do that as president. I know this wasn't exactly the presidency that you thought you were going to be having, as the congregation went through a really unprecedented time. But as somebody who had the privilege of working with you extremely closely throughout this, I can't think of a better person to have been in a leadership position with so much that was changing so quickly. Your positivity and enthusiasm and calmness and confidence, especially in moments of crisis, are really infectious. And your unwavering support and commitment to the congregation and all of us who are a part of it has been incredible in terms of guiding us through these occasionally choppy waters of the last couple of years. And it has been an incredible privilege and joy for me to get to serve with you. And I look forward to you now being a past president and not entirely, getting rid of me, at least in terms of using your wisdom and enthusiasm and creativity. For those who don't know Tony quite as well, as he mentioned a little bit in talking about other things, he also has a long history of sort of service to the congregation with Bianca, his wife, chairing Taste of Temple, chairing past fall fundraisers, chairing our development committee. And I know we will find ways for you to take advantage of one of the perks you did not get to utilize as much, which was the presidential parking spot. But it is really a joy and pleasure, and thank you. We have a certificate for you here and for the other retiring board members, but since they're not in person, I get to give you yours in person. And the other thing for you, we made a donation in your honor to the Israel Religious Action Center. We know that Israel has been really important to you in the last couple of years, and the reform movement's work along with World Progressive Judaism in Israel. we made a donation in your honor and appreciation of all your hard work. So
I
thank you.
I really appreciate it, and I want to tell you, I truly enjoy working with you, and in more general terms, I received more than I gave. So thank you.
Thank you.
Nominating committee report. I would like Libby Schwartz, if she's available and on the call, to pick up this item.
Thank you, Tony. Hello, everyone. It's great to be here. The nominating committee, whom I would like to thank first, consisting of Tony Urtis, Sally Rosenfeld, Sandy Lewis, Jeff Wolfstone, Linda Georges, Robin McCoy, Ali Garfinkel, and Amy Remick. Thanks to all of you for the amazing thoughtfulness and slate that you put together. Came up with the following 4 nominees to be elected to a new 2-year term. They are Susan Berniker, Gail Mandel, Susan Milstein, and Ilana Pirtle-Guinea. And for re-election to a 2-year term would be Naomi Derner, Merrill Haber, Bill June, Shoshana Landsberg, Sandy Lewis, and Sarah Pittman. And the remaining trustees who are still fulfilling their terms are Jeff Capon, Janet Hoffman, Christy Moore, Josh Remick, Sally Rosenfeld, and myself.
Thank you, Libby. And just like we did when we adopted the minutes, we are going to go to the same exercise. I would like somebody to please submit a motion and then somebody to second it. And Chelsea will let us know when that happened.
All right, we have a motion and a second.
Thank you.
And Chelsea, like we did the last time, you'll see a vote box appear for your ability to accept and approve the slate as nominated by the nominating committee.
Please approve for us.
Yeah. That's what clergy. Thank you, everybody who's voting and doing the important technical business of us as an organization. And thank you, Libby, for chairing the nominating committee and for your continued service as we anticipated.
The motion passes.
Thank you, Chelsea.
Thank you. And I believe right now we would have the clergy blessing the new congregation Beth Israel board.
Thanks, Tony. Just before we do, I think you were going to give a special thanks.
Nope, this is how we're doing it, Rabbi.
Thank you. Nobody tells me nothing.
I think just as each board member really brings so much blessing to each one of us with all of your commitment and your hard work, your humor, and each one of you, your intellectual, financial abilities, you bring everything to the table. We couldn't do this without you. You are such a blessing. And so we want to also bestow this ancient blessing on you.
May God bless you and protect you. You just muted yourself.
I did?
No, can't.
May God's light shine upon you and shine through you.
May God's face always be turned towards you. May God grant you great peace in a world at peace. And we all say, Amen.
And thank you. I think what all that's left is closing right now, and we move very fast to the agenda. So I think I'm going to take some time. And please indulge me and bear with me a little bit. I would like to thank all of you for giving me the opportunity to serve as your president for the past 2 years. It has been immensely rewarding for me. Challenging, but fun. Valuable and interesting for me. I think it was a very, very good experience, and I couldn't have had it any other way. I hope that it has been of benefit to our Beth Israel community as well. We have here at Beth Israel a world-class clergy team. I know we all know it. It just has to be told, because we do have a world-class clergy team under the leadership of Senior Rabbi Michael Kahana. They lead us in navigating the unprecedented time of uncertainty. It's very hard to find the words to describe the complexity of this navigation. But all I can say is that they were determined to keep us standing up together. I said that before, but it's true. They helped us standing up together, and that's very important. They have been diligently following the health advisory, listening to many of our concerns, and combine all of them, put everything in balance. And they worked creatively to adapt and adjust and provide a safe and reasonable plan to sustain the mission we share. They kept the eye on the mission and kept going forward with the mission, but with care and diligence. It's very important to recognize how lucky we are as far as our clergy. We cannot thank our clergy enough for their dedication, hard work, creativity, and genuine care for our community. For me, it's very personal, and I wrote each one of you a card, and I'm gonna find a way to give it to you. And thank you for being wonderful partners for the past 2 years. I would like to also thank the members of the Board of Trustees, all of you, for their selfless dedication to the affairs of the institutions of Beth Israel. You served at a high level of commitment. You sacrificed your time and resources to work for the good of Beth Israel at no financial cost to the institution of Beth Israel. There are so many of you that we need to thank, so many. We are a vibrant community with many contributions to our success. I cannot name all of you tonight, but please accept my thanks. You know who you are. I would, however, like to recognize a few of our committee chairs for bending over backwards to get things done regardless of circumstances. First, it was the traffic. Then the pandemic started and there was no traffic. But then there was mask mandates, there was social distancing, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But they didn't use any of this as an excuse. No excuses. They found a way forward. They were resilient. They were hard and smart again and again at no cost to the institution. I want to recognize Susan Milstein, Adult Education, Jack Menashe, Building and Grounds, Dick Solomon and Don Spiegel, Cemetery, Bonnie Davis, Education, Libby Schwartz, Personnel, Sally Rosenfeld, Social Action, Bill June, Safety and Security, Naomi Derner, Finance, Shoshana Landsberg, Sisterhood. We collectively, thank you. We could not have done it without you. I know it's a saying, but it's a meaning. We could not have done it without you. Thank you. We have an unbelievable, dedicated and level-headed executive director, Josh Kasinski, who's not in the camera right now, but he's next to me. I wanted to be next to him on this last meeting because he was an unbelievable partner for the past couple of years. We are extraordinarily appreciative of your effort, Josh. Before anything, I would like to take this moment to thank your family. I want to thank Michelle, your daughters. I think you told me they go by Rosie and Fifi, for sharing you with us. Your family has been more than supportive and understanding, and we want to thank them. Every championship team in any sport you follow and any successful organization needs a steady hand. Yeah, we have the stars and we have the players that are moody and all that, but we also have a steady hand. There's no way a team can be successful without a steady hand. Josh is that steady hand for us, making the best of the hand that was dealt to us, always. No excuses. We thank you for everything you continue to do, Josh, because it's not the end, it's the beginning. And you have done so many things. As usual for Josh, he doesn't want to accept all the credit. So every time I talk to him, he said, well, you know, but all these people who are helping me. So he thoughtfully inventories the staff who makes all of this possible. So often we sit down, we talk, and he mentioned Ben Sandler, Education Director, Elizabeth Pearson, Education Coordinator, Laura Robinson, Clergy Assistant and Cemetery Coordinator, Tracy, Communication Director, Linda, Accounts Payable Specialist, Orsi, Office Administrator, Dallas, and Susie, Facilities Co-Managers, Melissa, CFO, Chelsea Ferguson, Program Director and Coordinator of this program tonight. Josh, it's so appreciative of you. To all of you, I would like you to know that your efforts don't go unnoticed. We all know what you do, and we don't thank you enough. We appreciate you. Josh appreciates you. I wrote a personal card to every single one of you. I have a bunch of them here, and Josh is going to distribute it to you to save on postage. I want to thank you for your contribution and continued support. We cannot thank you enough. Josh, please deliver those. Josh, one more thing that proves, this is a little funny, and it proves how much we need you, okay? We wanted to do something very special for you and to keep it secret from you, all right? So obviously we couldn't ask you to double check our work. So as you may expect, we didn't do very well. So the Jewish Federation of Greater Portland has accepted application for the Laurie Rogway Outstanding Jewish Professional Award. Of course, we thought about you and immediately embarked on the application process. As part of the application, we needed to collect letters of recommendation, and that was not hard because many people wanted to step forward and nominate Josh. We finally ended up with letters from Christy Moore, who was actually the engine of the initiative, from past Executive Director Sidney Bear, who appreciates you very much, from Rabbi Rachel Joseph, and a long letter from me. You cannot be short. So what could go wrong? Well, we found out later that executive directors do not qualify for the award. Well, that's not good. So we realized how lucky we were because you would have paid attention to all these details. You would have read the fine print. And sorry to step 1 second out of the camera. We collected all these letters, Josh, that we wanted to submit on your behalf, and you have a collection of our appreciation for the award because in our eyes, you are an outstanding Jewish professional. I hate to say it, but we fail without your help, so we need you. Josh, we have a few gifts for you, and I want to thank Jen and Howard Feldman for introducing me to this artist Gershwin from Israel, and I think this will look really good on your desk. And then a card, of course, and then a book of humor, understanding philosophy through jokes, because you really need it. We have a lot of hard work here. We need a good joke every once in a while. The board also was very instrumental in finding a way for you and Michelle to invite another couple and go into the wine country for trying the winery. You will get the certificate after the meeting. I want to thank my wife, Bianca, and our wonderful daughter, Shira, for also giving me the time, the space, the support to be with you for a couple of years. And It's really amazing to have them in my life. But now, looking forward, I would like to introduce to you a very special person who's on the call tonight, a very special leader. She sings in the Kol Echad, the CBI choir. She currently serves in the Safety and Security Committee, the Executive Committee, and she chairs the Personnel Committee. She is a past president of OPB, past president of the Oregon chapter of Area Jewish Committee, and she was the president of Oregon Women Lawyers. She is overqualified. Dear congregants, we are all so lucky. Our future presidents of the Beth Israel Board of Trustees, who will succeed me, please welcome our own Libby Schwartz. If we're in a big room here, we will all applaud. You can applaud. And Libby, if you would like to say a few words, you could do so now. If not, we understand.
Tony, I don't, it's not often that I don't know what to say, but this may be one of those times. Really what is in my heart right now is to thank you, Tony, for everything that you have done. To say that your presidency was unprecedented sounds like, you know, a really weak sauce version of the word unprecedented. I think we need to invent a new word. I know that you joked a lot that, you know, you were the only president in the history of the congregation that was never allowed to address the congregation from inside the building, that you know, we would never let you in. But you, as Josh said, were irrepressible. You viewed crisis as an opportunity, as a challenge, as a way of thinking of how we could be better. And that's not something I'm very good at, is creativity in a crisis. And so I thank you for helping me learn a little bit better how to do that. And even though you are resigning from the board, you know, I have you on speed dial, and so will not be letting you get too far away. It is truly humbling and an honor and exciting. I'm not going to say to step into your shoes, because that's not really possible, but let's just say to pick up walking where you did. And I feel so grateful to have such amazing clergy leaders, as you said, and staff, as well as we have a great community. And I'm very excited about what we're going to do together. So thank you all very, very much.
Thank you, Libby. I wish you luck. You will be supported and you will do very, very well. And congratulations. And I have a gift for you too. I have the same book of jokes and understanding philosophy through jokes that Josh got, because you guys need this. I also have a personal note for you that I would like you to read later. And also a book that I believe it will be very useful for you in the first year, unless you already have read it. It's Relational Judaism, Using the Power of Relationship to Transform the Jewish Community by Ron Wolfson. I read this book a couple of times. It helped me, and I bought a copy for you. Enjoy. And those are my remarks. I think
the clergy, I think, are gonna have a final blessing for the congregation.
Source of all life, Adonai, Elohei Avotenu V'Imotenu, God of our ancestors, guide us in our holy work of sustaining, nurturing, building, and growing this community. Help us to remember that we are not alone. On this evening, on this Zoom, we are surrounded by individuals involved in the sacred task of building and sustaining community. Despite the pain in our world, despite the brokenness, we hold on to hope. We derive strength and the energy to change the world for good through the teachings we learn from Torah and each other. Whether we've been here for a lifetime or we've recently joined our congregation, whether we're stepping on or off the board or don't have an official position as a lay leader, We care enough to be here tonight when there's lots of other demands on our time and energy. In being here, we're exemplifying our tradition's deeply held value of community being so important as to supersede nearly everything else. Remember that we are not alone. We are active partners in a covenant bound to continue the ongoing work of building, sustaining, and healing our community and our world. May we continue to go from strength to strength.
And we can all say together, Chazak, Chazak, v'nitchazek. Be strong, and may we strengthen one another.
Amen. And we,
Amen. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, and we pray that we will see you tomorrow at Shabbat services. We would love to see you. And Shavuot, the holiday of Shavuot, is coming up next week. We have an amazing guest speaker joining us on Saturday, June 4th at 6 p.m. in the temple, Dr. Ann Udall, the CEO of Planned Parenthood Columbia Willamette. If you'll please join us for that amazing event. And Shabbat on the Plaza is coming, and we look forward to in-person blessing all of our board members at our first Shabbat on the Plaza on July 15th, which is just around the corner.
Thank you. Onwards and upwards toward our 165th year. Thank you all, and good evening.
Yeah, thank you everybody for being here. If you're a board member, you will be getting an invitation to go into a breakout room as we have a little bit of business to do before the end of the evening. For everybody else, if you want to stay on and chat with somebody or unmute in a cacophony for a moment and say hi, you're welcome to do so. And again, thank you everybody for all of your work to make this congregation great and for being here tonight to participate in the business of the annual meeting.